In 1995, a psychologist handed people a list of childhood memories. 4 memories on the list, all described in vivid detail. Getting lost in a shopping mall as a child, rescued by a kind stranger. The participants read the list, then came back a week later, and 25% of them remembered it, in detail. The color of the stranger's jacket, the smell of the food court. Some even argued with the researcher, insisted it really happened. It didn't. Memory 4 was fake. The psychologist made it up. Her name was Elizabeth Loftus, and this was just the beginning. Because what she discovered didn't just apply to shopping malls. It applied to crime scenes, courtrooms, your most important relationships. It applied to everything you think you know about your own life. Here's what most people believe about memory. It's a recording, a camera that captures moments and stores them. When you remember something, you press play. The file opens. You watch. Clean, accurate, yours. But that's not what memory is. Not even close. Every time you remember something, you are reconstructing it. You pull fragments. You fill gaps. You borrow details from other memories. And every time you do this, you change the memory slightly. Neuroscientists call this reconsolidation. Each recall is also a rewrite. The memory you have right now of your 5th birthday is not the original. It's a copy of a copy of a copy, edited every time you thought about it. But here's where it gets darker. Your memories aren't just altered by time. They're altered by what other people tell you happened. In 1974, Loftus showed people a film of a car accident. Then she asked, how fast were the cars going when they smashed into each other? One group heard the word smashed. Another heard contacted. The smashed group estimated the cars going 40% faster. Same film, same accident, different word, different memory. And a week later, the smashed group was more likely to remember broken glass. There was no broken glass in the film. One word had planted a false detail into their memory of a real event. This is called the Misinformation Effect, and it works on you whether you're aware of it or not. Now, pause, because this is the part nobody talks about. This isn't just about lab experiments. This is already running in your life. Every time someone tells you how an argument went, they're editing your memory of it. Every photo you look at of a past event slightly overwrites your experience of it. Every time your mother says, remember when you were scared of dogs, she is writing a chapter of your autobiography. And you will believe it. But it gets worse, because memory isn't just passive. Your brain actively protects you from remembering certain things, and actively fills in the gaps with what makes the most sense to you right now. Psychologists call this consistency bias. You remember your past self as more similar to your current self than it actually was. If you changed your opinion on something, you often forget that you ever thought differently. In 1973, researchers tracked people's attitudes toward busing for school desegregation. They measured what people thought, then, years later, asked them to recall their original opinion. Most people misremembered their own past opinion to match what they believe now. They didn't lie. They genuinely believed their memory. Now here's the part that the legal system spent decades refusing to accept. Eyewitness testimony. The most trusted form of evidence in a courtroom. I saw him. I'm certain it was him. Since 1989, the Innocence Project has exonerated 375 people wrongfully convicted. In over 69% of those cases, eyewitness misidentification was a factor. People went to prison, sometimes for decades, because memory felt certain and was wrong. Elizabeth Loftus spent 50 years trying to tell the legal system this. She testified in over 300 trials. She was called a liar, a defense hack, because what she was saying threatened something people need to believe, that we know what we saw, that we know what happened, that we know who we are. But here's the thing about false memories. They feel exactly like real ones. Same vividness, same emotional weight, same certainty. There is no internal signal that tells you, this one I invented. So what does this mean for you? Right now, today, the argument you keep replaying, the one where you were clearly right, has been edited every time you replayed it in your favor. The childhood you remember, the happy one or the painful one, is a story your adult brain constructed, piece by piece, over decades. The person who hurt you, you remember them as worse than they were. The person you loved, you remember them as better. None of this makes you broken. It makes you human. Memory was never designed for accuracy. It was designed for survival. A brain that perfectly replayed the past would be paralyzed by it. Instead, your brain asks, what do I need this memory to be right now? And then it makes it that. Here's the part that should change how you move through the world. Other people's memories of you are not you. They are reconstructions, built from their needs, their fears, their version of events. And your memory of yourself is the same. You are not your history. You are your brain's best current guess at your history. Elizabeth Loftus once implanted a memory of being attacked by a dog as a child. The subject developed a genuine fear of dogs for years, based on something that never happened. But then Loftus asked, if we can implant bad memories, can we implant good ones? Her team convinced people they loved asparagus as children. Adults who had previously disliked it suddenly preferred it, changed their diets. Memory is not a record of who you were. It is a tool for becoming who you need to be, which means the story you tell yourself about your past is not fixed. It was never fixed. You have been rewriting it your whole life without knowing. Tonight, you'll remember something. A conversation, a moment, a version of yourself from years ago, and it will feel completely real, completely certain, completely yours, but you will have changed it. Again, just like you always have. You didn't have a faulty memory, you had a human one. And now you know no one else's memory of you is final either. Not your parents, not your exes. Not the person who said they know exactly who you are. Memory is the story we tell ourselves to keep moving forward. And the story can change. It already has, 1,000 times. While you were certain it hadn't, that's not a flaw. That's what it means to be alive and still changing.